Good morning, comic book fans. Welcome back to Comics in 5 Minutes. I'm Revel of No Shorty. We'll be looking at the death of Silver Surfer today, and kind of being honest with you, that title kind of grabbed my attention. I don't know much about Silver Surfer. I've read like an occasional bit here and there. I know he's like big in the Fantastic Four, Galactus, heralding kind of game. But other than that, don't really know much about it. But after reading the Jason Todd book the other day, it got me thinking about character deaths. Like, literally just read a book about a character which, in the timeline of that comic book, he's not dead yet, but he's also totally back from being dead in the actual timeline. And also, I've just read Cody Ziegler's where he killed Deadpool and then brought Deadpool back. All the deaths in X-Men, which can just come straight back from. And I'm literally reading Immortal Hulk by Al Ewing at the moment, where he's not even dead yet, but we're told he's going to die. But there's already been a Station 4 issue 1 where he comes back from the dead. And it just makes me think, well, was this just like ever a point where people didn't take this seriously? Or just thought, oh wow, a character might actually have died. I'm thinking, yeah, actually when Superman died, that was a big deal. When he came back, nobody was really hugely surprised. I think unfortunately that kind of impact that had, where, I mean, as a kid, I remember this being a thing on TV, news stories were done about Superman dying. And I think that amount of interest generated at some point made people think, we can make a lot of money if we have this thing where somebody's going to die, and then if we bring them back, that might be a thing as well. If for no other reason, Marvel will just do another issue 1 for a character more often than not. Not all the time, but it does happen with Marvel more than anywhere else. And it feels like it's just another case of, let's do issue 1s, let's do big tentpole stuff, let's try and get stories about it. I mean, when you've got a comic book called Immortal Thor and Thor dies, I mean, it kind of, the stories write themselves for that one. But that being said, I kind of wanted to read it anyway, and I'm glad I did. Don't get me wrong, some stuff annoyed me about it. It's not a comic book that I think I'm going to really get excited about, but it looks fantastic. The artwork is brilliant. There's a whole bunch of like really cool character moments in there, some fantastic action sequences, and really nice world building through characters. Some of it is a little bit like Marvel in-house style, but I've got to be honest, it does go a bit above and beyond it in ways that I find interesting. The colours look way better. Yes, they're still digitally done from what I can see, but they don't have that kind of like really soft gradiated mehness in the background of a lot of panels. It looks like the artists actually care about putting out a good-looking comic book, and I can't deny that is a big deal for actually me wanting to enjoy something. Like, if it's good-looking, yes. If it's shiny, yes. But if it looks like people cared enough to put the time in, then I'm probably going to like it a little bit more. And it does look cool. The action sequences are great. And because there's quite a lot going on, it could have been overcomplicated. It could have been too busy. But everything did feel kind of, like, easy going. The narrative flowed quite well with the artwork, and yeah, I was in with that kind of thing. But I think from the moment I started reading it, I was kind of tapping out a little bit, because what can you do in a comic book called The Death of Silver Surfer, where the main character is Silver Surfer, that isn't just going to be what I expect it to be? And then they had some moments in there. It's usually the kind of thing I quite enjoy for myself in my place in the world and my politics, where I can see criticisms and critiques of hypercapitalism and colonialism and things like that. But they're just not handled very well in this comic book. We do have somebody who's organised some new superpower control thing where what they want is infinite growth to make massive amounts of money, which, economists everywhere will tell you infinite growth in a corporation is like just not a great thing. But he's such an obvious stereotype of the kind of tech bro douchebag who would say that kind of thing, rather than, I'm going to go back to Al Ewing's Immortal Hulk for this one, actually, where we did get like far more of a sense of grandeur to that kind of thing, with the Minotaur running rocks on, and it added magic and curses and immortality to it. And I feel like it made it more horrific, because that, rather than just being like, oh, this is just another story about another guy doing this kind of thing. And then later on we have this idea that Silver Surfer has turned up in this huge war zone and just dismantled the machines of war without killing anyone and thus ending the war. And the Fantastic Four turn up and are like, oh, well, at least it wasn't us that did it, because if we turned up and stopped the war, which we totally could do, by the way, it'd look like America was interfering. We don't want that. In fact, let's leave now so nobody can ever accuse us of it. And this story happening at a point when the US and my own country, the United Kingdom, to an actual degree, is basically making sure that one country can carry out a genocide on another. It does feel a little bit like that was kind of on the nose, but also very dismissive, and also kind of made it feel like what they wanted was somebody to come in and save them so they didn't have to do that themselves, which, I don't know, it doesn't feel like what America's or Britain is feeling at all at the moment. They're still making quite a lot of money out of it. And those two kind of beats just made me disappointed in how they were handled. The fact that it's a Death of Silver Surfer book and it's called The Death of Silver Surfer, I don't know. I just left it feeling good looking comic book, good attempt, but not enough to make me want to go back and reread it, unfortunately. Certainly not to make me want to carry on with the series. That's it for me for now, though. Until I see you all again, look after you, everyone. Stay safe. Bye!